would it change your opinion that Iraqi forces should be evicted from Kuwait? In other words, will you be so childish as to say that a wartime exaggeration, for whatever motive, discredits the wider cause? I want you to bear that in mind as I go on, but I also want you to understand that there's no anti-war position or point on this that I don't fully understand myself and couldn't make, I sometimes think, a bit better than Naomi Klein can make them. If paid, I would do that. Okay, you're still with me? What we want, of course, is the British to be running Mesopotamia. We want Gertrude Bell back. We want Sir Percy Cox back. We want people who understand Arab love poetry and who've read their Lawrence and who are in tune with the music of Shia mythology. And we want all of this back. We want people who they trust, who they love, who can be filmed by David Lean, who can be trusted to draw trustworthy borders between Iraq, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and Kuwait. No, sorry, I didn't mean that last bit at all. At all. We don't have that. What we have instead is the most clumsy country with the least number of qualified people, with the worst history with the country right back to the origin of the Ba'ath Party's coup sponsored by the CIA, with the worst complicity, with the worst aspects of Saddam Hussein. We've got everything wrong up till now. You want the country that, as Winston Churchill said, always does the right thing only after it's tried absolutely everything else. We want my adopted country to do it. Why do we want that? Well, one, there's something about my adopted country that I like, that I think is noble and I think is defensible. Ultimately, however much it wants a quiet life and a rich life and a rather Philistine, perhaps, and rather easy life, and a life of a culture that's a little, conceivably too much devoted to self-gratification and not enough to literature and philosophy, that nonetheless, in the last instance, always finds its existence incompatible with totalitarianism, with aggressive expansionist totalitarianism. In the end, the United States always finds there isn't room on the same planet for itself and these forces. And it doesn't matter how long that takes, or how hypocritical the discovery is, or how many compromises have been involved. Up till now, I say it as someone I hope is not too newly or moistly patriotic, that discovery does get made. And that thought, by the way, should be in the minds of all the petty totalitarians who still infest our planet and who try and rely on the argument of double standards. Why are you attacking Saddam Hussein instead of Robert Mugabe? Why did you pick on Slobodan Milosevic instead of the Burmese generals? Why did you not do enough about Rwanda, but you did do something about... Don't worry about it. In the end, I mean it, we will get round to all of them. And all of them should quake at the thought that we know what they're doing, we know who their allies are, and we know that the nature and style of their regimes is ultimately unsustainable. Now, why Iraq? Well, why for this reason? Because for all the arguments I've just made against it, the proof becomes self-evident. These past crimes and blunders and miscalculations had given us a responsibility for the people of Iraq and for the country. A moral one. I'm not embarrassed to say it. A moral responsibility. We'd inherited the crimes and responsibilities of the past. We couldn't walk away from a country we had so much misunderstood, and in whose internal affairs and external affairs we had so badly, not always badly, but so clumsily intervened. We couldn't say, well, let's leave you as we found you. Let's leave you as we intervened in you. Let's leave you abject after our previous blunders. No, we had a responsibility, and we still do. Second, and I'm not embarrassed to mention it, Iraq, unlike, say, Rwanda, is a choke point in the world economy. It straddles the Gulf. It's part of the sea lanes that are the lifeblood of what we live on and what we do. And it produces a substance which I know some people find unmentionable, almost as if it was some disgusting bodily secretion. But I think in Calgary is not thought of as so vile. It's a three-letter word. oil. It has more oil, we think, either than the Wahhabi theocracy next door in Saudi Arabia, or the degraded, bankrupt, ramshackle Shia theocracy on the other side in Iran. Another two countries with which our confrontation is inevitable, with which it's inscribed. Furthermore, has this oil nearer the surface and easier to reach, and I will be corrected if I'm wrong about the argot of oil, but I'm told their oil is a bit sweeter. It's better quality, it's nearer the surface, and it's easy to find. Let's forget that. And third, unlike almost every other country in the Muslim Arab Middle East, it's not uniform and homogeneous socially or ethnically. It has three great communities within it. The majority of the Shia, the ancient minority of the Sunni, and the ethnic minority, non-Arab, who are both Sunni, which most people always forget, and also Kurdish, and who've been leading a charge for democracy and revolution against the fascist regime of Saddam Hussein for many years. Now, here are three things the United States is quite good at: federalism, democracy, oil and gas, and fighting against recalcitrant jihadists. And these are the three things that we need, without apology, to stress now. We need make no apology for saying that it was wrong for us to let Iraq rot for so long under a regime of a crime family, a sadistic megalomaniac. If I took 5 minutes to give you a reprise of what life was like in Iraq 6 years ago, would you allow me? Would you think it was exiguous or propagandistic?